Put the heading for today's day and date, 6th June 24. So we are starting with the topic, rules of debit and credit. Already you put the heading. Okay, you knew we are starting with this. That was the next step. Okay, so we are starting with this rules of debit and credit. Okay, we'll just wait for 2 more minutes. Let everyone join since this is the first class of our new chapter. Okay, so this chapter is basically divided into 3 parts, we can say, and that is we have got in the first part, we are going to see what is the T-form account, T-format account. And then in the second part, we are going to talk about the different kinds of accounts. So wherein we have 2 classifications. So when we're talking about the account, you can just keep on copying. So accounts, we have 2 classification, bachon. One is the traditional classification, or what you call as the traditional approach. And the other one is the modern approach or the modern classification of accounts. Modern approach or the modern classification of accounts. Now this modern approach is much easier. Okay, we are going to practically use this modern approach, but we are going to study this traditional approach also, because in Viva and all, and even in 12th, this traditional classification of accounts and the traditional approach is asked, right? So we have, and herein we are going to study about the golden rules of accounting. These are known as the golden rules of accounting or the golden rules of debit and credit, golden rules of accounting. Right? Now, what we have learned so far is that whenever there is any financial transaction relating to the business, we record in something known as journal, right? Using the rules of debit and credit. With the help of journal, we transfer these entries or we post these entries to ledger, okay, to the ledger. Now, this ledger is nothing but what you call as account. Okay. Now, when I say using the rules of debit and credit, we post it into the, we pass the journal entry and then post it into the account. So we need to know what do we mean by debit and credit. Plus, the initial transaction, which is posted in the journal, is based upon some documentary evidence. So whenever at the first stage, when we enter into any transaction, say, for example, I'm starting my business and I have to purchase, maybe I'm into apparel business, so I have to purchase cloth, the raw material, right? So I'm getting into a transaction of purchases. Okay, this is what you call as purchases. When you have to, start your business, you're making some raw material purchase. Okay, now this purchases is a financial transaction, one thing. Now, whenever we have this financial transaction, we will have some documentary evidence in support of this transaction. Okay, so can you tell me what will be the documentary evidence in support of this transaction? Voucher is made on the basis of this documentary evidence. What is the documentary evidence? When you go to purchase something, you get invoice or you get a bill.
Bills.
Okay. Yes. So it is invoice or a bill. Invoice or a bill. Right. With the help of this transaction, the voucher is prepared or the accounting voucher is prepared. Okay. Again, preparation of voucher is a separate chapter in our syllabus. Okay. Now, this voucher is prepared by applying the rules of debit and credit. So here we have to, differentiate between debit and credit on the basis of which, in the voucher, it is written that which account is to be debited, which account is to be credited, which is prepared by the accountant. And accordingly, it is, from voucher, it goes to the journal. Okay. From journal, it goes to the ledger. Okay. So we are talking about till here. Okay. And this ledger is basically the account head where in all the transactions of the similar nature are grouped together, right? So first I'm discussing what is ledger and thereby the meaning of debit and credit. Okay, now see, bacho, what is account or ledger account? We call it account or ledger account. Okay. It is, just write on, it is the head where all transactions of similar nature are grouped together. It is the head where all transactions of the similar nature will be grouped together. Now, what do I mean by this? Now, I'm telling you the format of the account. Earlier, I told you the T format. Okay, T format was a simpler format. Now, I'm giving you the detailed format. Now, an account will have two sides. This we have already done. So, you have to draw this box and divide this box into two parts. Divide this rectangle into two parts. Right? So this left-hand side is what you call as debit, and the right-hand side is what you call as credit. So the very basic definition of debit and credit, I can say the left-hand side of my account is debit, and the right-hand side of my account is credit. Simple. Okay. Now within this, we have different columns. So the same columns on the left-hand side and the same columns on the right-hand side. So the first one will be a date column. Okay, it will be a date column on both the sides. So on both the sides, we'll have a date column, right? So we'll draw a line over here. And the first column on the left-hand side, we have named it as date column, right? Then we have the second column on both the sides. Okay, the second column is a broader column. Okay, it's a broader column. And this column is called, here we are going to put the name of the account. Okay, the name of other account. Name of other account. Just write other. What is this other? I'll just tell you. Name of other account. Okay. And on the credit side also, the first column is the date column, and the second column is the name of other account. Arhan, you have joined too late. Okay, we are starting with the sixth chapter, Arhan, the rules of debit and credit. So just put chapter 6, Arhan, put chapter 6, rules of debit and credit. Okay, and directly come to this T format account. Okay, so I'll be preparing, you can put the heading, bachcho, as cash account. You're going to prepare cash account. So put the heading of this account as cash account and put two sides, Arhan. Draw a line in the middle of this rectangle. The left-hand side is your debit side and the right-hand side is your credit side. Within the left-hand side, we have the date column, name of the other account, and there's a small column, a very narrow one, this much only. Okay, a very narrow column, small one. And this is what you call as your journal folio. What do I call this column? Journal folio, and I'll write JF over here. JF. On both the sides, we've got JF. Okay, just put JF over here, and then here you can put the full form of this JF. JF stands for Journal Folio. Yes, definitely. To do the ledger account, we'll have to do first the journal. Okay. But I'm just giving you the basic meaning of debit and credit, right? And we are not doing the entire journal because, see, journal can be made only once we have the journal entries with us and the posting we have to do. But Abhi, we're just learning what do we mean by debit and credit, right? Directly also we can make a ledger. That is what we are studying now. And then we'll study that how first journal has to be prepared, Rehan, and then we prepare the ledger. Okay.
Ma'am,
We're
do
resolving
we
all the
need to
yes.
create a journal folio column? Because in my class, ma'am
Yes,
says that they
Suparnika,
haven't completed.
just repeat.
Do we have to create the journal folio column? Because when we were doing this in class, our teacher told not to do it.
Yeah, we don't have to draw. As such, we won't be using it, but we should know what is journal folio. That is it. Every time we are
Okay,
not going to
ma'am.
make it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, it's
Every
like
time we are not going to make this journal folio, but yeah, we should know what do we mean by this journal folio. So, but first we'll just write, and the last column is of course the amount column, which over here we'll be taking the currency as rupees. So the last column is your amount column, right? The last column is your amount column,
ma'am, it's like
whatever currency we're using. Yes, Isha.
ma'am, the journal folio is like the page number.
Yeah, it is just like a page number. Yes, very good. So we'll just write what is journal folio. Journal folio is the page number. Please write the page number of journal where the respective entry relating to that account, where the you can just write it down. Okay, we just need to know what is the meaning of journal folio. We won't be drawing it actually in the account, but yeah, we should thoroughly know how our account is prepared actually. Okay, so back to page number of the journal where the respective entry of the related accounts appear. So, when we prepare journal, we put ledger folio. And when we prepare ledger, we put journal folio. ठीक है ना, जब हम ledger बनाएंगे, तो we are putting journal folio, right? And when I'll tell you, when we prepare the journal, there one column is of ledger folio. So while preparing journal, we refer to the page of ledger. And while preparing ledger, we refer to the page of journal so that we can cross-check the entry if there is any discrepancy. Now this is cash account. Now, bacho, in cash account, on the debit side, please listen to me carefully. This is important. Now, I'm coming to the important thing, that how an account will be prepared. The most important line. When we talk about the cash account, on the debit side, we put all the receipts of cash. Please write. On the left-hand side, or on the debit side, we put all the receipts of cash. Whenever we receive the cash, we are going to put it on the debit side. For whatever transaction we are receiving cash, we'll keep on putting it on the debit side. Whenever we make the payment of cash, we are going to put it on the credit side. So I'm just talking specifically about cash, bacho. Whenever I receive cash in the business, I put it on the receipt side. Whenever I make the payment of the cash, I put it on the credit side or the right hand side. Now you have to remember one thing. By heart, you have to do every account. Every account will have left hand side as the debit side and the right hand side as the credit side. This you have to remember every time this will happen. Any account, left hand side would be debit, right hand side would be credit. One thing. Second thing, over here, for cash account, on the debit side, we put all the receipts. On the right hand side, we put all the payments. So suppose the capital is invested into the business. So what is happening when the proprietor invests the capital into the business receives the cash. Suppose 1 lakh is invested by the owner into the business. So here we'll write capital and how much? In the amount column, we are going to put 1 lakh. Simple. Okay. Now, suppose machinery is purchased for running the business of 50,000. So which side I'm going to put it, Priyanka? Payment side. So on the right hand side, I'm going to put it. So that will be in the name of machinery. I'll put the amount as 50,000. Now only the cash transactions will appear here. If any credit transaction won't appear here because we are making a cash account. Okay. Suppose I make purchases of cloth. We are talking about the apparel business. Okay, I'm running a boutique into apparel business and I'm purchasing some cloth as raw material. Suppose I purchase this for cash. 25,000 I've spent cash for purchases. So which side we should put it, Navya?
Ma'am, can you please repeat?
We purchased cloth for our business as raw material. So which side do we put it?
Ma'am, the payment side.
Payment side or the right hand side, right? Call it credit side. Because now, see, we are not going to talk in terms of receipts and payments. We are going to put it in terms of debit and credit. Okay, so on the credit side, we are going to make, because it's a payment. You can say it credit side because it's a payment. It is outflow of cash. Okay, so payments, I can also say outflow of cash. And when I say receipt, I can say inflow of cash. Okay, so and what name will I put over here, Navya? I'll put purchases account. Purchases account. This is machinery account. This is capital account. Okay, and suppose I'm making purchases of cloth of 25,000. So I'll put the amount as 25,000. Okay,
Ma'am,
next.
so both the sides need to be equal?
No, both the sides won't be equal. Both the sides won't be equal. Okay. And I'll tell you balance brought down, and there's something known as balance brought down and balance carried down. That also I'll tell you. Just wait. Okay. Now, suppose I had to make a payment of wages for 10,000 to my tailor. Okay. So, Kavya, when I make the payment of wages of 10,000, which side will it appear? Debit or credit?
Wages. So it will be credit side, right?
Credit side, because we're making a payment, there's outflow of cash. So here I'm going to put wages account and the amount paid is 10,000. Okay, everybody's following it? Okay, next transaction, Vidita. Yes, Vidita.
Yes, ma'am.
The next transaction is I made cash sales of dresses for 20,000. Cash sales of 20,000. Which side do I put it? You're not audible. Unmute and answer, Vidita. दो ही ऑप्शन है विदिता, कोई तुक्का ही मार दो.
Ma'am, credit side.
Credit side, no. When I make cash sales, I receive cash, Vidita. Vidita, are you getting it?
Yes, ma'am.
When we make cash sales, we actually receive cash, right? And because we are receiving cash, we are going to put it as sales account and the amount will be 20,000. Okay, so in a transaction, bacho, you'll have to think a little bit whether you're receiving the cash or you're paying the cash and then put it on the respective side. Okay. Now, suppose I sold, okay, maybe Guneet. Yes, Guneet. Unmute. Okay, maybe Ashmit. The next transaction is Ashmit. Suppose I make credit sales of 10,000 to my customer. Which side will I put it in? Okay, Atri. If I make credit sales to my customer, which side do I put it?
Ma'am, none of the sides, since this is a
None of the sides, because it's a credit transaction. So I'm not receiving cash actually. Now, suppose 7 days after, a week after that, Arnav, my debtor paid me 7,000 cash against this sales of 10,000. Okay, 7,000. Arnav, so which side do I put this? You're not audible, Arnav? You're not audible. Okay, so Parnika, can you tell me if I receive 7,000 against this credit sales of 10,000 a week from now, which side do I put it and by what name?
Ma'am, debit side and I think it'll be cash.
Debtors
No, not
account.
debtors account. Yeah.
B is silent, okay? It is debtors. So suppose out of 10,000, I've received 7,000 a week after, okay? So I'll receive it in the name of debtors account 7,000, right? Okay. Then suppose I pay commission to my salesperson, 1,000 rupees. I've paid my commission to my salesperson. Okay, so Ananya, where do we put this 1,000?
Since it's payments, it will be on the credit side.
Yes. So here we'll be putting commission paid, and the amount will be put on the amount column. Next one, Akriti. If we receive, yes. If we receive interest from the bank on our FD, which side we put it, Akriti? We have received interest of 5,000 on our
On debit
FD,
side.
fixed deposit.
On debit side.
On the debit side, with the name of interest account, interest received account, or interest paid account, whatever, interest paid account, okay? There are certain items where you may have confusion whether it is being received or it is being paid. Because see, commission we pay also and commission we receive also. Interest we pay also, interest we receive also. Suppose I've taken bank loan, so I'll be paying interest on that bank. Suppose I've given loan to somebody, or suppose I've got a fixed deposit done in the bank. So from the banker, I'm going to receive the interest. So interest can be again paid or received. Okay. So there are certain few items where you may have this confusion. So it'll be mentioned in the question. Suppose rent can be received, rent can be paid. If you have taken the premises on rent, you will have to pay the rent. If you have let out your premises to a tenant, then you will receive the rent. So sometimes you have confusion whether it is income or it is an expense. Either it will be clearly mentioned in the question, or otherwise the rule is if it is not mentioned somehow, then you have to take it as an expense. Suppose rent deke chhod diya, then you will take it as rent paid only, not rent received, unless and until they have mentioned it rent received. Okay, so interest amount was 5,000. Okay, suppose I'm paying rent, so it'll be rent account, rent paid account, rent account. Suppose I'm paying a rent of 15,000, right? So this is how we keep on putting the entries according to the date. Whenever the date, the things are being made at those days, dates will be, mentioning the date, and then we'll keep on putting the amount, receipt side or the payment side, right? And then the initial, the starting, the beginning of the account, any account, will begin with the balance brought down. So I'll tell you what is balance brought down, but just write it. What is balance brought down? Balance brought down. Okay, so this we write as balance brought down or balance brought forward. Okay, and this is the opening balance of any account. This is the opening balance of any account. And then we have something known as balance carried down, which is shown as balance CD. And this is the closing balance of any account. So we have two terms, balance brought down and balance carried down. The opening balance and the closing balance. Now we start our account with balance brought down, okay, and we end our account with the balance carried down. Now I didn't start with it, okay, so we'll put it now the first line of the account. Now this balance can be on the debit side or it can be on the credit side, okay. Each account, I'll tell you the basic nature. So the opening balance will depend upon the basic nature of the account, whether it will be a debit opening balance or a credit opening balance. For cash, I'm telling you, it is balance brought down, the beginning balance. Suppose the beginning balance was 50,000. Okay. Just put it in your registers. Balance brought down was 50,000. So we started our year with 50,000 balance. Then we had various receipts and we had made various payments, right? And now we want to find out that what is my closing balance of cash at the end of the month or at the end of the year? What is my final balance? Now, how to find that out? You have to, this is known as balancing of the account. So what we have to do is, whatever is the heavier side, we have to make the total of that. Okay, whichever is the heavier side, we have to make the total of that. So heavier side in case of cash account seems to be the debit side. Can you see the heavier side is debit side? Apparently you can see it. So it is 1,50,000, 1,70,000 and 1,82,000. Right? It is 1,82,000. 1,82,000. What I've done is I've done the total of the heavier side, which is 1,80,000. Now we have to balance the account. So I have to put the same total on this side also. Just leave one line over here. Just leave one line over here. So this side also I'll have to put 1,82,000, but that is not true. That is something wrong. Because the total of this side is not 1,82,000. What's the total of this side? Let's see, 50,000, 60,000 and 60 and then 42 lakh 10,000. Sorry, 1,10,000. 50, 75, 85, 85 and 15. 1,01,000 is 1,01,000. Okay. So 81,000 is my balance carried down. Okay. Did you get it? How we got it? We just took the difference. So the heavier side was, Tavishi, why did you join so late, beta?
Mom, actually, I wasn't feeling quite well, so I didn't know if I was going to do it.
Okay, okay. So we are doing the next chapter, Tavishi, and we are preparing the cash account, wherein on the debit side or the left-hand side, we have put all the receipts whenever we receive the cash. Okay, Tavishi? And on the other side, on the right-hand side, we have made all the payments whenever we make the cash outflow is there, whenever we're making the payment of cash. Right? So these are items we have put. It is a simple one. Receipts we have written on the left-hand side or the debit side, payments on the credit side. We started with the opening balance. We had 50,000 in the beginning. And at the end of the year, I've got 81,000. Okay, so obviously the purpose of this making this account is to know my closing balance. Okay, so to know my closing balance that, okay, at the end of the period, how much cash do I have is 81,000. So you could have done it easily also, putting all the receipts plus, minus, all the payments. Basically, that is what our account is. Right, now try to understand what heading we have written. So we have written the date column, of course, the date when the transaction is taking place. Then we have put the name of the other account. So the cash is involved in all these transactions. If the cash was not involved, I wouldn't put this transaction over here in the cash account. So cash is definitely one aspect of the account, because in double entry system, we have got for every transaction, at least 2 aspects will be there. At least 2 accounts will be there. Aspect to do ही होंगे, debit or credit. ठीक है, aspect तो दो ही होते हैं, debit और credit. Accounts affected may be 2 or more than 2. Okay. Now in cash, whenever we make the payment, we put it on the credit side. Now, if you see, one aspect is definitely cash. Whatever is the other aspect is what we are putting it in this account. Okay. So whenever we make payments, we credit cash account. This is how we, how we put it. You can write this line so that you will remember that when an account is credited or debited, okay, whenever payments are made, cash account is credited. So if I put anything on the credit side of the cash account, I say cash account has been credited. Is this language clear? So whenever the payments are made, cash account is credited. That is, whenever we put an amount on the right-hand side of the cash account, we say cash account has been credited. And whenever receipts are made, receipts are done or made, cash account is debited. So whenever I put any amount on the debit side, I say that this account has been debited. Whenever I put any amount on the credit side, I say that this account has been credited. As simple as that. Okay, now just try to understand the other aspect also, bacho. Whenever my cash account is getting credited, suppose I'm talking about the right-hand side, listen to me carefully now. Whenever I say my cash account is being credited, that means the other aspect is actually being debited. It will be equal and opposite. So whenever my cash account gets, I can write it over here. Whenever my cash account is credited, this automatically implies one more thing. And that thing is that my other account, the other aspect of the transaction, when cash account is credited, this also implies that other account is debited. Okay, suppose we're making the payment of wages. So cash account has been credited. That automatically means that my wages is being debited. But wages over here, you cannot, wages or salary. Here, when I'll be making this wages account, then I'll be putting cash on the debit side of the wages account. Suppose from here, I have to make the wages account, but you see how the wages account will appear. Wages account. अगर मैं सारे columns नहीं बनाऊं, या सारे columns बना भी लेते हैं एक बार को, you don't have to make it in your register, just look in the screen that how from here so many other accounts will be prepared and how will the amounts appear. So in the wages account, again, I'll have two sides, the left-hand side and the right-hand side. Those who have joined late, please see Tavishi and Arhan. Every account, now I'm preparing the wages account, suppose. The heading of my account is wages account. Okay, so it'll have two sides, debit and credit. This is debit, the left-hand side is always debit, the right-hand side is credit. And then first one is the date column. Then is my transaction or particulars column. Then is a small column known as journal folio, which is the page number of the journal. And similarly, on the right-hand side, we have the date column and the particulars column and the journal folio column and the amount column. So I'll be putting all these headings. Those who have made the cash account may not do this. Those who have not made the cash account can quickly make the wages account. So the first column is the date column always.
Excuse me,
Next
ma'am.
is the particulars column. Yes.
Ma'am, in the last cash account, from where did you get 50,000 as balance brought down?
Yeah, this will be given to you. Balance brought down. You will be knowing in your business that's how much cash do you have. Because the last year's closing balance will be this year's opening balance. Okay, now this closing balance of 81,000 for the next month or the next year, it'll become the opening balance, no? So this balance, I knew that it was 50,000 or it'll be given to you in the question. And in practical life, you must be knowing that how much, you suppose on 1st January, I want to see how much there is there in my purse. Okay, in my wallet, how much amount is there, that I might be knowing. Okay, so I start my month with, suppose it's a simple thing, you get the pocket money. Okay, so suppose on 1st of June, okay, 1st of June, you were given 10,000 rupees as your pocket money. And then you keep on, deducting your payments. You went with your friends for you went for some party or something. You keep on, you got some money from your relatives. Okay, June, some of your relatives came to your place, gave you some money. So you keep on adding that. So at the end of June, on 1st June end, 30th June, how much amount you have, you must be knowing. Right? And then your 1st July, what will happen? Suppose with all these addition and you're left with, in the end of the day, you're left with 500 rupees on 30th June. So July, you're beginning with 500 rupees. Again, your parents give you 10,000 as your pocket money. Okay, thoda zyada hai, 1,000 kar do. So that is how, it keeps on getting that is your receipt and payment account kind of a thing. Okay, as simple as that. So what I'm trying to say over here is, when we put anything on the credit side, this wages, we say cash account has been credited. And similarly, if I prepare the wages account from here, date, particulars, this is your ledger, journal folio. Okay, and then again, this is your amount in rupees. And date, particulars, where you're going to put the other account, basically, and your journal folio and the amount. Okay, so this particulars is basically the name of the other account. Name of the other account. And here, when I have to put the wages account, now, in this transaction, wages will be put on the debit side with the name as cash account. And the amount, what was the amount? 5,000? 10,000. And the amount would be 10,000. Okay, getting it? Priyanka. So we'll say the wages account has been debited. Okay, or we can also say the cash account, the other account has been credited, and we can see that. Okay, and this is also known as cross entry, bacho, cross entry from one account to other account, the respective accounts which are affected. So basically in wages account, I'm never going to put the name of wages account. I'm always going to put the name of the other aspect. Okay, wages के cash case में तो आपका हमेशा debit में ही entry आएगा. जब भी आप payment कर रहे हो wages का, वो आते जाएगा यहाँ पे. You made the payment on say 1st April, then you made the payment on 7th April, then you made the payment on 11th April, then on 15th April. हमेशा उसमें तो कोई receipt होगा ही नहीं ना, हमेशा ऐसे ही आएगा cash account, cash account, cash account. Wages you're always paying. Cash account, I started with a cash account because cash account is one such thing where you have all kinds of transactions. Okay, so what we're trying to say is, again, I'm making the last statement once again. When the cash account is then the main account, this is the main account, the main head is any amount is being placed on the right hand side, we say that this account is getting credited. And the other account is basically, you automatically know that other account must have been having a debit balance or debited. Okay. Now, and here again, we can write that when the cash account is debited, that means the other account is credited. So whenever we are preparing any particular account, within the body of that account, that name won't appear. The name appearing will be of the other account. Is this thing clear? So if I'm making cash account will never have cash account in its body. It will always have the name of the other account with the opposite aspect. So if cash account we're saying is being debited, those other accounts will be putting it over here, and these accounts are actually being credited. Okay, fine. This much is what you have to understand over here. Nothing more. Otherwise, ledger as such, we will be preparing ledger as such, we'll be preparing after we are done with the journal. Okay, So now we are moving on to the second part of this chapter, and that is the traditional classification of the accounts. Okay, so put the heading traditional classification of accounts. Traditional classification.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, what we just did was the modern approach, right?
Beg your pardon? What we have to?
What we just did was the modern approach, right?
Yeah, modern approach will be doing it after the traditional approach.
Okay.
We'll be doing the modern approach also, but traditional approach, we need to know that. Okay. Although for the preparation of journal, we'll be using the modern approach, which is much simpler. Okay, but these are these traditional approach gives us the golden rules of accounting, which we need to know. Okay. Now within the traditional classification of accounts, bachon, we have got two basic classification, and that is your personal account and impersonal accounts. We have something known as, keep on writing, personal accounts and impersonal accounts. Personal accounts, AC I'm writing for accounts, okay, I hope everybody can understand that. And impersonal accounts. Now, within personal accounts, we have got three types of accounts. And that is, we have natural personal account, artificial personal account, and representative personal account. Natural personal accounts, artificial personal accounts, and the representative personal accounts. And within impersonal accounts, we have got two classification again, and that is the real accounts and the nominal accounts. Okay. Now, natural personal accounts are basically the creations of God. Creations of God. For example, my customers, my suppliers, okay, my customers, my suppliers, okay, my debtors, my creditors, okay, debtors, my creditors. All these are my personal natural accounts, the natural creations of God, okay, Ram account, Shyam account, Mohan account, all those names which we have done. Okay, examples you can write. Okay, so here examples if I want to write, I can put Ram account, Shyam account, Mohan account. Okay, not the names of gods only. Okay, it can be Adya account, the natural persons. Artificial persons means the corporate bodies or institutions or your banks. Okay, so these are of course persons in the name of in the eyes of law, but these are artificially created. Okay, so here we have the corporate bodies. Corporate bodies. It can be institutions, or it can be banks. Okay, like my this thing institution is Comics Institute. So that Comics Institute is a person in the eyes of law, but it is artificial creation. So suppose I, in the name of my organization, purchase something. Okay, suppose I'm purchasing a furniture in the name of my business, in the name of Comics Institute. Okay, so that person, suppose on credit, so that person becomes, I become the debtor of that person. So I'm a artificial, or my business or my institute is an artificial person. Okay, So, and any bank, suppose we have the account with ICICI Bank. So ICICI Bank will be an artificial personal account. Okay. So any names you can understand will be personal accounts. And then the representative personal accounts who are represented by something. For example, I in my business am represented by my capital. Okay, so my name won't appear. In my name, whenever I invest money into my business, it is represented by capital. Okay, so capital is our representative personal account, or drawings is a representative account. Here, I'm telling you to write all the outstanding expenses. Again, those 4 terms. Prepaid expenses, which create a lot of problem. Abhi bhi main puchungi, to half of you must be knowing what do you mean by outstanding expenses, what do you mean by prepaid expenses, what do you mean by accrued incomes and the unearned incomes. These 4 terms always create problem, and you have to be very, very clear with these terms. Huh? No, stock, I'm coming to that. Stock won't be a representative account. Stock would be a real account. I'll tell you first, let's understand. Okay, so is this personal account clear? We have 3 categories: natural, artificial, representative. So you have to remember the example, especially of representative, huh? Because कई बार confusion आएगा, capital account में personal account, natural personal account नहीं है वो, है ना? होता तो मुझे reflect कर रहा है, लेकिन it is basically representing me, and therefore it is representative personal account. Personal account here, but represent. Okay. Now, all my asset accounts, whether tangible or intangible, tangible or intangible, all my asset accounts are my real accounts. They are called real accounts. For example, what I mean, see, my assets can be my stock, anything of value to me, anything which gives me future economic benefits are my assets. We know that. So it can be machinery, land and building. It can be cash in hand. It can be stock. It can be goodwill. It can be patents, trademark, copyrights, furniture, vehicles, everything under the assets. What we have done, you have learned so many times the examples of the assets, examples of the non-current assets, examples of the current assets. All the asset accounts are your real accounts, except your prepaid expenses and your accrued income. We have learned that prepaid expenses and accrued income are our asset account, but they go under the representative personal accounts.
And debtors are also
And
our
your
assets.
debtors, yes. Debtors also will be covered under your natural or artificial persons. So, yahan pe we can write it excluding all the assets, because we are saying all the assets. So we'll write excluding debtors, okay, prepaid expenses, and accrued income. So please write in detail. Again, we'll revise what do we mean by prepaid expenses, what do we mean by accrued income, how do we pass the journal entries. As of now, just write this much. So all my asset accounts, except debtors, prepaid expenses, and accrued income are my real accounts. And then nominal accounts, what we have, all are gains, all gains, incomes, losses, and expenses are my nominal accounts. All my gains, incomes, losses, and expenses are my nominal accounts. Now, when one thing you have to understand, bachon, when rent paid, which account will it be? It will be nominal account because it is an expense. Nominal account. It is an expense. Now, please see, if I say outstanding rent, first of all, let's understand the meaning of outstanding rent. Outstanding rent. What is outstanding rent? Or outstanding rent? Or we can also call it rent payable. What does this mean? Rent which has become due, but not yet paid. ठीक है, आउटस्टैंडिंग रेंट का क्या मतलब है? जो रेंट मुझे अभी पे कर देनी चाहिए थी, but I have not been able to pay. I didn't have cash. So my landlord is coming every day and asking for this rent when I'm requesting, please give me some more time, please give me some more time. Okay. So for the month of say March, I have used the premises and I don't have money. I haven't paid the rent of March. And then April has come, the new year started. And I have not yet paid the month of March also. Okay. So that rent of month March, which is already gone, is known as outstanding rent. The rent which I should have paid, I have not paid. Okay. So this rent payable is not nominal account. It is personal account, representative personal account. Okay. So see, rent, if you've paid it, then it is nominal account. But if it is rent payable or say outstanding rent, then it will be your personal account basically. Personal account. Even if it represents the outstanding rent to the landlord. It is representing the landlord, that this much amount is due to the landlord. So this outstanding rent starts representing the landlord, and therefore it is personal account. Okay. So whenever we have any expense, it is a nominal account. The very simple way to identify the account. If it is paid, it is an expense, it is nominal account. And if anything prefix or suffix is there, like outstanding rent, accrued income, or rent payable, then if there is any prefix or suffix with expense or income, then it will become what? Then it will become personal account. है ना, representative है वो तो ठीक है, लेकिन main head कौन सा है? Personal account पूछेगा. तो वैसे expense or income is a nominal account. But if it is accrued, say for example, next example I'm taking, can I change the sheet, bachcho? Done with the sheet? Okay. Second example I'm taking is, suppose interest received. Interest received is what? My income. And therefore it will be which account? Nominal account. And how much a nominal account hoga? I hope everybody has taken down this sheet. Please take down this sheet very nicely. So you have three accounts basically. Your personal account, we can say personal account में भी representative इतना classification में मत जाओ, तो main जो हमारे तीन accounts बनते हैं वो बनते हैं real account, personal account and nominal account. ठीक है, within the personal account it's fine. The further classification, natural, artificial, represent, that's a different thing. Main जो तीन आपके accounts होते हैं traditional approach में बच्चों, वो तीन होते हैं. One is personal account. You have to remember this mainly. First, personal account. Second is your real account. And the third one is your nominal account. ठीक है, तो जब हम बोल रहे हैं इंटरेस्ट रिसीव्ड, तो ये इनकम है, तो ये नॉमिनल अकाउंट. अगर मैं बोलूं अक्रूड इंटरेस्ट, then it will become personal account, क्योंकि वो representative account बन जाएगा, तो ये personal account. तो अगर कोई भी income है, okay, income है या expense है, loss है या gain है, it will be nominal account. But if any prefix or suffix is there, prepaid, accrued, unearned, then it becomes personal account. Is this difference clear? So you have to see whether it is plain income or expense, or there is any suffix or prefix. If there is any suffix or prefix, then it becomes personal account. If it is a pure income or an expense, it is a nominal account. And all our asset accounts are real accounts, except your debtors and your prepaid expense and accrued income only, because that is personal account, we know that. Okay. So what you have to do is you will have to learn this table. Again, I'm putting it in a simple language now. If you want to learn for that purpose, एक बार लिख लो ताकि याद भी हो जाएगा. So under traditional approach, we have 3 kinds of accounts: personal, real, and nominal. Okay. So पर्सनल में वी हैव गॉट, जो आपको याद रखना है, बहुत आसानी से आप याद रख सकते हो. किसी का भी नेम हो तो वो पर्सनल अकाउंट होगा, चाहे वो नेम पर्सन का हो, चाहे वो अकाउंट द नेम इज ऑफ some bank or some body or some firm or some institute, the name of any business, whatever, any name, it'll be personal account, right? And then within this you will have to remember your outstanding, your accrued, and your prepaid, and your unearned, and capital and drawings. ये सारे आपके क्या हो जाएंगे बच्चों? These will be your personal accounts. Real accounts will be your asset accounts. Asset accounts. Like for example, your machinery. Okay, plant and machinery, we can write it like this. So please write the names of the assets also. You must have forgotten: plant and machinery account, land and building account, furniture and fixture account, or your delivery vehicles, basically your vehicles, it may be anything, and your AC and your computer and your printer and your goodwill and your patents and your computer software or your computer hardware or your copyrights or your trademarks, all these things, all your assets. Okay, yahan pe you have to remember that what you have to exclude, you have to exclude debtors, because those will be covered under personal accounts, and you have to exclude your prepaid expenses, and you have to exclude your accrued incomes. Okay, and then under nominal accounts, we have all our incomes and the revenues. You can say income, revenues, or gains, and then all our losses or our expenses. ठीक है, but ध्यान रखना, expenses के साथ में अगर कोई prefix या suffix है, then it will become personal account. So this is the basic classification of the accounts. Clear? Okay.
Now, what does PM, LB, and FF refer to in the real account?
What is?
PM, LB, and FF.
P&M is plant and machinery. L&B is land and building. F&F is furniture and fixtures. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So these are
What's HW and HW?
hardware, computer hardware and computer software.
Oh, yes, sir.
Computer hardware and GW is of course goodwill. Very important intangible asset. Okay. Intangible assets are the assets which we cannot touch and see. Okay. But they do have a lot of value for the business. Those are all our real assets. Now coming to the golden rules of the accounts. Okay. So for personal accounts, Guneet, have you taken down this sheet better? Guneet, have you taken down the sheet, or maybe take a screenshot? You got disconnected, no? Let me know when done. Okay. So now, for personal account, now we are coming to the rules of debit and credit. Okay. As of now, we have just learned the classification. Now, the rules of debit and credit. So for my personal accounts, the rule of debit and credit is debit the giver, credit the receiver. Debit the giver, credit the receiver. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Debit the receiver, credit the giver. Debit the receiver and credit the giver. Okay, now how to apply that rule? Suppose business, okay, paid cash to Shyam. Okay, suppose paid cash to Shyam. So Shyam is the receiver or giver? Shyam is the receiver. Okay, now receiver is to be debited. So Shyam को हमें क्या करना पड़ेगा? Shyam को हमें डेबिट करना पड़ेगा. तो फिर the other aspect of the transaction, cash को credit करना पड़ेगा. Okay. So in this, see, even if you understand one aspect of the transaction, the other aspect would be opposite. तो यहाँ पे हमने पर्सनल अकाउंट का अगर सीख लिया कि श्याम, we have paid cash to Shyam, so Shyam will be debited, and we also understood the other aspect would be credited in that case. Okay. Second transaction, please think over it. Received rupees 1,000 from debtor. Received rupees 1,000 from debtor. Now, who is the personal account over here? Debtor. Now, he is a giver or a receiver? He is a giver because he is giving us. So, he is a giver. So, giver को हमें क्या करना है? Giver को हमें credit करना है. तो cash को क्या करेंगे? Cash को debit करेंगे. अच्छा, अब relate करो with the account which we had prepared. Whenever we receive the cash, whenever it was receipt, हम क्या करते थे? Cash को? जब हम cash receive करते हैं, तो हम cash को debit कर रहे थे?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Similarly, when we were paying the cash, we were crediting the cash. So even if you understood one aspect, the other aspect automatically will be correct. And that we have seen also. Although we are going to see the other aspect also, we are going to learn the other aspect. But here I have told you that that will always match, you know. If you have, because every transaction will have, I told you, two aspects, debit and credit. It will have minimum two accounts which will get affected. It may be more. If we have a complex entry, a compound journal entry, more than two accounts will be debited and credited, but debit and credit would be equal and opposite. Okay. So if you, if in a journal, in a given transaction, if you can even identify one aspect correctly, you will be able to pass the journal entry correctly. Other aspect automatically आ जाएगा आपके पास, ठीक है ना? अच्छा, अब ये वाला rule समझ में आ गया? Let's go to the real account now. So second is my real account. Real account के लिए rule is debit what comes in and credit what goes out. Now going back to the same transaction A. A was paid cash to Shyam. Paid cash to Shyam. Now, bachcho, over here, cash is my asset. Cash in hand is my asset. My God, in the asset, we didn't write cash in hand and cash at bank and stock. Stock, cash in hand. These are also assets, no? Cash at bank. Now, cash at bank, of course, will be bank account, which will be basically, under our personal account. Okay, so I'll just write cash in hand over here. Okay. Now, here, cash is my real account. Now, is the cash coming in or cash is going out? Cash is going out. So what do I have to do with the cash? I have to credit it. I'll have to credit the cash because it is going out. So obviously, what do I do with the Shyam? I'll have to debit it. ठीक है? ये तो ठीक है, equal and opposite है. वैसे भी Shyam क्या है? Personal account है. और personal account में rule क्या है? We have to debit the receiver and credit the giver. So over here, Shyam is the receiver. तो receiver को हमें क्या करना है? Receiver को हमें debit करना है. तो अपने आप मैच हो गया. ठीक है. अब I'm telling you the very basic, a very easy trick. Okay. अभी हम पढ़ेंगे तो बहुत कुछ अकाउंटिंग के इसमें, but the very easy trick is if the cash is involved in the transaction, बच्चों. If the cash is involved in the transaction becomes very easy to identify what will be debited, what will be credited. If cash is one of the aspects. बहुत सिंपल है. अगर कैश रिसीट है तो हमने पूरा अकाउंट बनाया है, हम कैश को डेबिट करते हैं. और अगर कैश पेमेंट है तो हमने पूरा अकाउंट बनाया है, राइट हैंड साइड पे वी क्रेडिटेड कैश अकाउंट. सो कैश एस्पेक्ट ध्यान रख लो, बाकी ट्रांजैक्शन का दूसरा एस्पेक्ट अपने आप ही हो जाएगा. इतना सोचने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी. ओके, इट इज रियल अकाउंट, आई मीन इट इज पर्सनल अकाउंट. सो पर्सनल अकाउंट में डेबिट द गिवर, क्रेडिट द गिवर, डेबिट द रिसीवर. और अभी हम नॉमिनल अकाउंट का भी करेंगे. इफ कैश इज वन ऑफ द एस्पेक्ट, जस्ट रिमेंबर, if cash comes in, if we are receiving the cash receipts will be debited, cash payments will be credited. That is what we prepared our account, on the basis of which we prepared our account. Okay, so cash receipts अगर हैं तो उसको आप डेबिट कर दीजिए कैश को. और अगर कैश पेमेंट की बात हो रही है, कैश आउटफ्लो है, तो कैश को हम कर देंगे क्रेडिट. Okay, now another transaction I am writing. P. Now, what you have to identify in this transaction is, you have to do this transaction. You will have to identify the two accounts which are involved. Then you have to tell me the nature of those two accounts. And then what will be debited and what will be credited. Okay. The transaction is machine purchased worth rupees 1 lakh. Machine purchased worth rupees 1 lakh. Now, what you have to do is, all of you have to do it on your own in your registers. Okay, I won't be asking the answer for you all to send me the answer. Answer में next वाले question का I'll ask you to send it to me. ये वाला you have to do it in your register. What you have to do is, you have to identify the two accounts. Okay. And then you have to also tell me they'll be debited or credited. So please identify the two accounts. And also for these two accounts, you have to tell me what category of accounts they belong to, whether it is personal account, real account, or nominal account. Nominal account, abhi, examples I have already given you. And then what rule you're applying and which account is being debited and credited.
Real account will be debited and cash or real account will be credited.
Perfect, perfect. Very good, very good. So, I see the answers. Very good. Okay. So everybody try to jot down in your registers what two aspects, what two accounts you can identify from this transaction, what type of account they are, and then can you tell me which aspect to be debited and credited? Just write it for yourself. I'll tell you the answer, and the next question you have to answer. So A, over here, the accounts involved is machine account and the cash account.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, it will not be purchases account.
Purchases nahi hai beta. Purchases term is used when we purchase raw material or our finished product which we sell. Okay, purchases term is used only for your raw material or the finished goods. So if I'm dealing in, if I'm into apparel business, dresses or cloth or thread would be my purchases. Okay, if I
Okay.
purchase anything else, it will be an asset. Okay, or it will be an expense. If I purchase stationery for my business, that will be an expense. If I purchase machineries, suppose sewing machines I'm purchasing, or I'm purchasing the furniture for the showroom. So that all will be asset.
Okay,
It is purchases account. It is an expense, revenue expense, but we call it purchases. Okay. So here the two aspects are machine account and the cash account which are involved. Machine is a real account. Cash is also a real account. And the rule for the real account is bacho, debit what comes in. So machine is coming into the business. Machine is coming into the business, so it will be debited. And cash is going out of the business. So cash will be credited. और अगर सीधा आप कैश वाला कॉन्सेप्ट लगाओ कि अगर कैश पेमेंट है तो वो क्रेडिट कैश अकाउंट को क्रेडिट होना ही होना है, तो कैश अकाउंट क्रेडिट होएगा तो मशीन अकाउंट अपने आप डेबिट हो जाएगा. But yeah, identifying the correct accounts is also important. Like you told, you had the confusion that is it purchases account. So over here it is not purchase. Okay. Now, one more transaction. Now this you have to send me the answers. Okay, before that, I'll first tell you the nominal account rule and then we'll move to some questions, okay? First, let's understand all the three accounts. Now, the third account is my nominal account. So here we have all our expenses on our incomes account, okay? Now, the rule is debit all expenses, SES, debit all expenses or debit all losses, okay, and credit all incomes or gains or revenues. Okay. For example, A, salary paid to employees, salary paid rupees 50,000 to the employees, to my employees, I'm paying a salary of 50,000. Now see, the accounts involved over here is one, salary, and number two is cash. So it is salary account and cash account which are involved. Salary account, bacho, is a nominal account because it is expense. Salary, which you are paying to the employees. See, sometimes students have confusion, ma'am, salary is income. No, we are talking from the business point of view. So for the business, salary paid to the employees is expense, and therefore it becomes nominal account. And nominal account mein we have to debit the expense. So salary account would be debited. So cash account will be credited in any case because the other aspect will be opposite. But here we have to understand that cash is real account. And when we pay the salary, cash is going out. So whatever goes out will be credited. और वैसे भी हमें पता है कैश पेमेंट्स को तो हमें क्रेडिट करना ही करना है. Cash payments, please remember cash payments credited, cash receipts debited. ये एक रूल से ही सारे ट्रांजैक्शन वैसे ही हो जाएंगे बड़ी आसानी से. ठीक है. So here this will be the okay. Now I'm giving question. Goods purchased worth rupees 50,000 on credit. Now wait, don't just observe, don't write anything, think of it. Okay. Just try to think what are the accounts involved? What is the nature of the account? And what will be debited and credited? Okay. Goods purchased. If you remember in accounting equation, purchases. Okay, the account will be purchases account. Because what is purchases is whenever we purchase goods. And what are goods? Goods, bachcho, are the main item in which we are trading. Everything is not goods. When I say goods, so if I'm into apparel business, then goods would be whenever I purchase ready-made dresses to sell. That is my goods. Okay. If I'm running a stationery shop, then when I purchase stationery, that is my purchases to sell it further into retail market. Or if I'm dealing into some electronic items, then when I purchase those electronic goods, those will be my purchases. So purchases account is basically the item in which you're dealing when you're purchasing that item to sell it further, or the raw material to manufacture our final product. Okay, so here the account involved is purchases account. And number two, it's on credit. So whenever we make purchases on credit, what is created? Creditors. So the other account is creditors account. So creditors, now if I see what category of accounts, so purchases account is my nominal account because it is expense. And creditor is my personal account. Creditor is my personal account, the name of the person, the name of the party from whom I'm purchasing. And here, the creditor is the giver. He is giving me the goods. So creditor is the giver. तो giver को हम क्या करते हैं? Giver को हम credit करते हैं. और यहाँ पे expense है purchases account, तो purchases account को क्या करेंगे हम? Expenses को क्या करते हैं हम nominal account में? Debit. So यहाँ पे purchase account आपका debit होएगा और creditors account आपका credit होएगा. Okay. Now, question number 2. What furniture for rupees 50,000? You have to send me the answers, bacho. For this question number 2, tell me the 2 accounts, and also along with that, put the category of accounts, and also which account will be debited, which account will be credited. Okay, try to apply the rule, or if you can do it directly, do it directly. Okay, maybe you can just give me the names of the accounts. First, you have to give me the names of the accounts. And along with that only, give me this account. When you're naming that account, this account will be debited, this account will be credited, whatever. Done. Yes. So you have classified it also. If you can directly do it, bacho, that also is fine.
Ma'am, I've sent in chat.
Yes. Now, Arhan, this is not purchases account. I'm not a furniture dealer. Okay, so I can't call it purchases account, right, Arhan? Furniture is a fixed asset beta, so not purchases account. What you have given is correct, but here, okay, so almost all of you have given the correct answer.
Ma'am,
So-
I've sent you on WhatsApp.
Okay. Right, right. Along with the rule, you have sent it. Very nice. So, बच्चों, rule अगर आप लिख रहे हो तो well and good, but otherwise अगर आपको directly click कर जाता है this account to be debited, for what reason, whatever logic you can apply out of so many things which I have told you, one aspect you're able to apply, the other aspect automatically will be done. Okay. So here the two aspects are furniture account. The two accounts which we have to mention is furniture account and the cash account. Okay. And a furniture account being a real account and cash account also being real account. So furniture is coming in and therefore it will be debited. Cash is going out, therefore it will be credited. वैसे भी don't know that if you're purchasing furniture, then I have to make the cash payment. Okay, so and we know that whenever the cash payment is made, cash is to be credited. Okay, so please remember, cash का aspect तो बिल्कुल learn कर लो, 10 बार सब बोलेंगे. Cash comes in, debit, and cash goes out, credit. And the other aspect would be opposite. Okay, fine. Okay, let's take some more transactions. Withdrew rupees 50,000 to buy refrigerator for personal use.
Ma'am, is it withdrew cash from bank?
If nothing is mentioned, then we take it as cash withdrawal, not from bank. The true aspects involved, and then you have to give me what is to be debited and credited. Done? Bolo.
50,000 cash account is the
Debited? Cash going out of the business or coming into the business?
Ma'am, is it drawings?
Wait, I have not checked the answers. Wait. Atreyika answer is correct. And correct Swaparnika. And no Tavishi. Correct Kavya. Correct Ashmit. Rehan and Tavishi. See, यहाँ पे रेफ्रिजरेटर अकाउंट तो आएगा ही नहीं. Okay, I told you very clearly in the accounting equation chapter, when the proprietor withdraws money for any purpose, we are least bothered what he is doing. आपको दिया हुआ होगा question में, transaction में, it will be given he bought jewelry for his wife, he bought mobile for his child, he paid the fee for his gym. Okay, so whatever is the personal use, we are least bothered with what he did with that. What is important to us is it is drawings, right? It is drawings. So refrigerator, he bought for personal use. It's not a business asset. So we refrigerator ka naam to aayega hi nahi. It is being represented by drawings. Okay. And second thing, cash is withdrawn. So when the proprietor is withdrawing cash from the business, it is cash outflow. Cash goes out. Cash goes out of the business. So cash will be credited and drawings account will be debited. So most of you have answered it correctly. Okay. So cash account will be credited and drawings will be debited. Okay. Is it clear? It would be recorded on the cash account, of course, Rehan. You're talking about this transaction only, no? Yes, correct, Ananya. Correct, Isha. And cash won't be debited, Tavishi. Cash is going out of the business. You have to see from the business perspective. Okay. Okay. Try some more transactions now. Okay. One more. Oh, I have overstretched it. Anybody having any other class or can we continue?
I have a class right now at 7:30 though.
Okay. 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 So we'll continue in the next class, but I'll be putting some homework on the group, which you have to do it. Okay. Thank you, Anushka, for patiently waiting. Oh, okay. Quickly, you can leave. Bye,
No
everyone.
problem, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bachcho.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.